It's Ash from Super Videos back for another video. In this video we're going to be talking about whether or not Jadis is actually working for Negan and if she could actually be trusted. So obviously right now Rick and the other survivors are actually trusting the Scavengers and Jadis, but that actually may come back to bite them in the ass, because if you remember in the previous episode in 7:15, Negan revealed that he has a snitch, that there's a spy that is working for him. And that spy has told him that Rick has these ideas of fighting against him. Now, I did another video talking about this and gave my thoughts on who I think that spy could be. But just to summarize, I think that spy is either Gregory or Jadis. Now, for Jadis specifically, if she is in fact the spy, it could actually wrap things up pretty nicely for the finale, and it actually puts a lot of things into perspective, not just from the promo, but also from the comic storyline as well. So I'm going to give my thoughts on that right now. So from here, I'm assuming that Jadis is actually the spy Negan had, and that Rick should not have trusted Jadis, and that Jadis is the snitch. So if Jadis is the snitch, what does that mean? So let's look at some of the shots from the promo to kind of put things into perspective. So there's this one shot where we have Rick and the others on top of the mini tower that they have at Alexandria's gates. Now, Rick is standing up, but all of the other Scavengers and also other survivors at Alexandria are kneeling down. They can't be seen from someone who is on the other side of the wall. So that means that the Scavengers and some of the Alexandrians don't want to be seen. They're kneeling down, and then when Negan and the Saviors show up, they would only see Rick. So obviously at this point, Rick knows that Sasha is with Negan. Rick could actually try to stall Negan. He could do something along the lines of saying that I'm not going to work for you anymore, that your way of doing things is done, we're not going to be obedient to you anymore, give us Sasha back. Now at this point, Negan can't see the survivors and the Scavengers at the top. So that would mean that Negan only thinks that it's Rick up there, but it's not. Going back to the comic arc, we could have Negan bringing out Sasha, with comic spoilers of course right here, with the hood on her head. And then Negan could be like, okay, here's your girl back, and then he releases Sasha. In another shot, we have Rosita being kind of shocked. So what if someone goes to get Sasha and then they get bit? That explains why Rosita is so shocked. But also, if that happens, that could actually put things into perspective in terms of the Jadis situation as well, because at that point, I'm pretty sure that Rick and the others would want to shoot Negan. What would stop them is the Scavengers distracting them and maybe even shooting someone on the other side. So turning their backs on Rick because they are a spy for Negan and actually shooting someone at Alexandria. That would kind of change the whole perspective, and Negan now has the chance to go for cover and kind of let things play out inside. Let the Scavengers kill as many people as they can back at Alexandria. And then this also kind of connects to something else, because we do know that in the promo for next episode, Dwight says something along the lines of, I can slow them down. Now, also in the promo, we do see that the Saviors are faced with some sort of roadblock. So maybe Dwight put that there to slow them down. But it doesn't really matter who put the roadblock there. What matters is why it's there. So in terms of storytelling, they need the roadblock to be there. The Saviors are faced with this roadblock way before they get to Alexandria. So they have to deal with this situation and then they can get to Alexandria. So this is before they get to Alexandria. But why it's there is basically to slow them down so that some others have enough time to get to Alexandria. And obviously we do know that the Kingdom people, Ezekiel, Carol, and Morgan, are on their way to Alexandria. And in the comics, that happens as well. They get there just in time to save the day. So that means that that roadblock is necessary to be there for the Kingdomers to make it in time to save the day. So everything kind of comes into play. Now, just going back to the Jadis situation, if you remember from the comic readers, there's a point where one of the saviors attacks Andrea in the comics, who's up in the tower, and they have kind of this fight and everything, and that leads to Rick thinking that Andrea has died. Now, if the Scavengers and Jadis are in fact the spy, the snitches, then what if they actually remix the story and have one of the Scavengers, maybe even Jadis herself, attacking Michonne in the TV show? That way it's not a savior, it's Jadis. And it could potentially make the Scavengers more of a threat and more relevant characters in the storyline. Now this could obviously be a big stretch. It's actually a bold claim for me to make right now, but I'm just predicting. What if we see something like that? It would be pretty cool. But then also this leads me to my last point, because in the promo we do see Rick shooting someone at Alexandria itself. There's smoke everywhere and things like that. And we also get a shot of some shots being fired near Carl. Now what if that's not the saviors? What if that's actually the Scavengers? Because the Scavengers are inside Alexandria. And if a firefight is to happen, they're the first persons there. And if they are in fact the snitches, it would make sense why it's so convenient for them to actually spy on Rick and the others. Because now they're inside Alexandria and they can basically try to kill all the survivors. And another thing I want to add here, in the promo breakdown, I actually said that maybe the saviors pushed the survivors well inside the walls, but with this scenario, if the Scavengers are actually shooting the survivors, then the saviors don't actually have to come inside Alexandria itself to attack. The Scavengers can do that. So it seems more and more that they are remixing the comic storyline and giving the Scavengers some of the roles that the saviors have in the comic book. Now, I may have been all over the place with this prediction slash theory slash discussion, but it was just something that popped into my head and I just thought that I would share it with you guys. Let me know what you think. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.